Hey race fans, Shane Carlson here with you for Full Throttle Weekly, and in the wave of Dale Earnhardt Jr. winning the Daytona 500, it's been a whirlwind of a week. Fans were going nuts, and if you didn't get jacked up about that win, you can just go on back to Russia because that was pretty much awesome. And it was just really cool to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. show that emotion after the race, especially when he took the checkered flag. He was coming back on his victory lap and getting the flag from the flag man, and he was pumped. I've never seen Dale Earnhardt Jr. that excited in my life, and that was just awesome to see. And the fans I'm surprised they didn't burn Daytona down, because that's a huge win. He didn't win last year, and his struggles at Hendrick Motorsports have been pretty well documented. But all was right in the world this week for NASCAR fans, because Dale Earnhardt Jr. is just the man, and America loves some Dale Earnhardt Jr. So that was awesome, and he had to hold off Brad Keselowski, who had a really good run. He's becoming a brilliant plate racer. I mean, he's always up front at the end of these deals. He's won Talladega back in 2009, and also he had to hold off Denny Hamlin, and who had a late charge on the last lap there. And Denny Hamlin had a pretty good week, and he came home second. He was frustrated because he thought he could go for the sweep, because he won his Sprint Unlimited, all three segments in that race. He won his Budweiser Duel, and he came home second. And what was even more amazing about his second place run is that he didn't even have radio communication for the last 10 laps, and it was spotty throughout the race. So racing at Daytona without radio transmission to your crew is kind of a big deal, because there's just cars all over the place, and you got to know where they're at, and the spotter's got to tell you where to go and when to make a move, and he had to do that all by himself. So that was pretty amazing job of just driving, to be quite honest with you. And over on the Nationwide Series, Regan Smith avenges last year's debacle on the last lap where he got turned into the fence, which, if you remember, Kyle Larson went up into the fence, and parts went flying into the stands and injured over 30 people. So Regan Smith was definitely happy to be back in victory lane this week after what happened there last year. And that was a thriller of a race too, because the difference in the win was .013 of his seconds, and he beat Brad Keselowski by inches. And so that was awesome to see. The new rules package for the Nationwide Series doesn't allow bump drafting for an extended period of time, but they were still pack racing, and it was awesome to see, because there were still guys making moves to get to the front. There was still a lot of passing going on, so I thought it was a great race. Fans loved it, so what more do you want? And then in the Truck Series, Kyle Busch beats 2010 Daytona winner Timothy Peters by .017 seconds, and he edges out Peters narrowly at the end of the race by about a bumper. So I mean, we had great racing on all weekend in Daytona, and fans had kind of gotten a little uneasy about the kind of racing we had seen, but I think this year NASCAR definitely got it right. They raised the spoiler up a half an inch, and it's Daytona, and it just produces the best racing in motorsports, hands down. I mean, awesome finishes. You got to use everything you got. You got teammates. You need to rely on your spotter, your pit crew, everything, the driver. And I love Daytona. I love watching those races there, and it's just something special about that place. Brings out the best in everybody, and I think that's what you saw, especially in the Daytona 500 on Sunday night after the rain delay. At the front of the field, you saw guys that you're going to be seeing battle for a championship at the end of the year. I mean, you saw Dale Jr., Keselowski, Hamlin, Jeff Gordon was up there, Jimmy Johnson was up there. So I mean, those are the big guns, and they rose to the occasion, and that was I think that's just a sign of things to come this season. But yeah, a lot of exciting stuff going on. So I mean, I'm real pumped up about this season, how it started out, the storyline so far, and it's just been awesome. But this week we move into Phoenix. The Truck Series is off until March 29th, so they got a long layover. Um, Nationwide Series races on Saturday afternoon, and Cup is on Sunday afternoon. But these races are a little bit shorter than what you might expect. Nationwide is 200 miles, Cup 312 miles. So track position is going to play a key role in both of these races, and especially even looking at qualifying, you want to qualify well so you don't have to fight from the back to get to the front throughout the entire race because there's just not that much time to get there. So you want to start up front and you want to stay up front. So I mean, crew chiefs are going to be calling for, I don't. They're going to want 4 tires on the car every time they can get them because at Phoenix, the track it's pretty slick out there, and drivers are always complaining about grip, how they don't have enough. So I think anytime they have an opportunity to put 4 Goodyears on the car, they're gonna do that. They're gonna fill them up with gas, and unless you're in the second half of the pack, I think that's a pretty safe bet that everybody's gonna do. But you might see some gambling going on with the guys in the back of the pack trying to get to the front. But for the most part, I think that's pretty cut and dry pit strategy for this weekend. And track position going to be key, as I mentioned before. And I think yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching Dale Earnhardt Jr. to see how he responds to last week. If there's going to be a little bit of hangover, I don't think there will be. He's been fast in practice this week so far, so I think he'll be fine. But just watching those guys who were at the front of the pack last week in Daytona, seeing how they come to these intermediate tracks and how their intermediate programs are coming along. I think this is kind of the week where, Daytona's a pretty big deal. Like there's not a bigger race in the season than that race. But now we kind of get down to these intermediate tracks, mile and a half tracks that, make up the bulk of the schedule for the season. And so if you're good here, you're going to be pretty good in a lot of places. So watch for that. And Phoenix is actually kind of a unique track because, well, there's a dog leg in there, so that creates a lot of uneasiness in the handling of the cars through that turn. But it's a mile in length, and but it races like a short track. There's not a ton of room. You'll see drivers going down below the apron. They can advance their position under under the yellow line this week, unlike Daytona and Talladega. So you're going to see a lot of things that you wouldn't normally see at some other tracks. But yeah, that's what I'll be watching. And as for my picks this weekend, in the Nationwide Series, I'm going to roll with Elliott Sadler in the number 11 Toyota. He won there in 2012, went winless in 2013, and if he wants his 2014 campaign to end with a title, I think he's got to get it started here. I mean, why not here? This is where the schedule really gets into a rhythm and where you can really build some momentum. So watch for Elliott Sadler. And in the Cup Series, I'm going to roll with another Toyota. I'm going to actually, the number 11 Toyota in the Cup Series too, Denny Hamlin. I'm going to go with him just because he looked so strong last week in Daytona. Finished second in the 500. Almost did a sweep of everything in Daytona. He even won a golf tournament down there, I guess. So look for Denny Hamlin to be strong this weekend and keep that momentum rolling into 2014. He looks like he's on fire right now, so he's my pick. But yeah, anyway, I'll be back with you guys next week to preview Las Vegas and talk about what happens this weekend in Phoenix. So I'm really excited. Hope you guys are too, and enjoy the races. Thanks.